What's up, my dudes?
Boys, here we are again. Had to come in here and directly compare the gameplay from MXGP 2019 to the new MXGP 2020 gameplay that we just got, okay? And I think this is going to shock a lot of people here. So I'm just going to go back and forth between the two. I don't really even have to say anything. You can pretty much just see it. All right, but I know there's some people kind of going down this road of trying to defend Milestone, and, you know, even Milestone themselves are saying things like, well, you know, the gameplay, it was on the older console, bro. It's going to be so much better on the newer console, right? You know, damage control a little bit there, Milestone. Yep. Okay. You know, I feel like this new MXGP 2020 gameplay is probably the most negative sort of reaction Milestone has ever gotten on any kind of gameplay before. I would assume so. It's pretty much every single comment when you go down through their Instagram post on the gameplay and all that kind of stuff. Everybody's saying the stuff that I'm saying, right? Like, why does this just look like MXGP 2019? Where's the ruts? Where's the roughness? Where's the terrain deformation? All that kind of crap, right? So, I wanted to go in here and actually show you directly a direct comparison between the two so you can see. And it's almost to the point to where you could get confused and think that MXGP 2019 was actually the new game that's coming out. And then the gameplay of this MXGP 2020 that you're seeing was actually the older one. That's how this gameplay looks. Now, one thing I do want to preface this by saying, it does seem like the MXGP 2020 gameplay was a bit of a darker, you know, kind of dulled down, maybe like a little bit more overcasty, like time of day and weather effect. Obviously, I'm on the same rider, same track, same everything in this gameplay right here between both games. So it's the same everything, right? But you can see here very different times of days. They've kind of dulled out the colors of it. I don't know. It's really bizarre. But it does make it look quite a bit less interesting than the MXGP 2019. The colors just aren't really popping. Everything just looks darker. So I just wanted to preface it by saying that. But listen, like, Milestone, even if this is on a current gen console, it's like not your, you know, next gen version of the game or whatever. Why the hell does this look worse than MXGP 2019? Like, just saying that this is the gameplay on the older consoles is not even really helping your case. Because it looks so, like, there's no words for it. So first of all, let's just start with okay, let me just explain to you what they did here. All right. So, you can see here in this MXGP 2019 gameplay, right? The track is not different at all as far as like layout, width of the track. I mean, even down to where the little standing water areas is on the track. It's all identical between both of these gameplays. Identical. I mean, it's not even a question. They just directly took the game files, track files from MXGP 2019, and then just copied and pasted that over, and then just doing little bitty improvements to it. I'm talking little bitty improvements, like little improvements. Even this whole section right here looks identical on that MXGP 2020 gameplay. Like, even to the off-track banners and billboards, and like, everything is the same. Everything. I have never seen something so similar between two completely different games in my entire life. This shit looks so identical. It's just insane. It don't even make sense. So, But you can see what they've done here with this MXGP 2020. They've kind of tried to trick you up into making it look like something different, right? But all they've really done here, they've zoomed the camera in. So that's sort of a way they can make it, quote unquote, look different than the game before. They can just play with these like visual, changing how far it's zoomed in behind the bike, right? So that's one thing they've changed. They're like way more zoomed in this 2020 than in the 19 gameplay. Even down to the HUD. The HUD doesn't even look that much different. The HUD literally looks like they just changed the colors of it. It doesn't even look like different HUD. What the hell? And this whole work in progress, Milestone's little excuse every time they come out with early gameplay and people are like, what the hell is this? Their little excuse, it's just a work in progress on the older generation consoles. Well, hate to break it to you boys, but this game is coming out in a month? So, I can promise you it ain't gonna be that much different from this. Even on a newer gen console. It ain't going to be that much different than this. If you think it is, you don't really understand how this works because they've been doing this with every single one of these Milestone games. They'll come out with early gameplay like a month or two before, the game is supposed to come out, and they'll say, it's just a work in progress. It's going to get better. Blah, 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 right? But even down to the HUD, this just looks like a different coloration of HUD. It doesn't even really look different. But I'm telling you, that's all they really did. They just zoomed the camera into the bike, changed the animations of the rider on the bike by 5%. They barely tweaked that. You can see how the rider just looks a little bit different, how he's moving on the bike. And then in a couple of these corners, they added MX versus ATV untamed level inside berm, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's not even a rut. It's not even a realistic line or anything. It's just a random, way outdated motocross gaming inside berm line. So that's the only thing that's different, though. Are you guys starting to understand what the Spency boy's been trying to say this whole time? I mean, yeah, with the Supercross games, they've made decent, improvements with Supercross 3 and stuff like that. But with these last few Milestone MXGP motocross games specifically, this shit has been unacceptable. Way unacceptable. This is not worth your money, dude. They're literally to the point where they're just copy and pasting. Copy the game they had before, change how far the camera is zoomed in, barely tweak on the animations of the bike, and then just reuse everything. Reuse the track designs, reuse the layouts, reuse the gear, reuse the HUD. For God's sakes, they're reusing everything. And I'm just here to tell you, Milestone's trying to do all this damage control, saying, oh, our gameplay it was on the older console. It's still a work in progress. I don't care what the hell. You could even this is how different. This is how much better this MXGP 2019 gameplay looks right here than the 2020 newer gameplay. You could mistake this for MXGP 2020 gameplay on the next gen console. That's how much better this MXGP 2019 looks. So don't get all caught up in that. Don't get all caught up in that trickery. All caught up in that damage control bullshit that Milestone's trying to do. And I swear to God, if some of you motocross gaming YouTubers come out here and try to defend this shit again, I swear, you are giving people the runaround. This is no longer up for debate anymore. This is not oh, well, just maybe Johnny enjoys the game and maybe Billy over here likes the improvements. Dog, there is no improvements. That's what you're not understanding. It's an endless facade revolving door of the same game, copy and pasted over and over and over. And I'm just going off of what I'm seeing. And what they're putting on their features page. They literally have one new feature on their features page. That's it. One. Singular. One new feature. And I'm going off of their new gameplay. That's all I'm going off of here. I can't just magically imagine what Milestone hasn't announced yet about the game, or some magical next-gen version of the game, and, some magical feature that they haven't told us yet that they keep trying to damage control with in all their replies of their Instagram post. I can't just imagine shit that's not there. They're banking on you doing that, by the way. They are. I mean, I'm telling you, if this game was going to have a bunch of new features and shit, it would be on their features page of their website. If the game was going to look so much better, or have these different physics, or have this cool terrain deformation improvement, or have all these awesome inside ruts and tons of roughness and, bigger jumps and all that, you would have seen it by now. You would have seen it by now. I'm not saying the game that does come out on the next gen and all that next gen version and all that bullshit, I'm not saying it's not going to be a little better than, the gameplay that you're seeing with this new 2020 gameplay. Yeah, it's probably going to look like 5 to 10% better than that. But that's it. Because you can't just... People don't understand. When you're making replica tracks, you can't just go in there and amp the jumps up. You can't just go... You've got to kind of remake it from the ground up. And Milestone doesn't put that amount of work into things. So... they're not going to go in there and amp the jumps up. They're reusing all their same layouts, all their same track designs they've been using for years now. That's the worst part about it. This isn't just the first time Milestone has reused shit. They've been reusing it since MXGP 2.3, MXGP Pro, And this new gameplay kind of looks like it has a weird, the mud game, taking it back old school, the Milestone mud game. It's got this weird, outdated air landing, clunking landing looking shit to it. I don't know. Kind of bizarre, but it just looks boring. Straight up. MXGP 2020 just looks more boring than MXGP 2019. And that's the game that I consider to be the most boring Milestone game ever. So the fact that their gameplay looks more boring than the most boring Milestone game in the history, you better be careful with this one, boys. Like I said before, this just looks like this is going to be a next-gen Milestone game, not a new Milestone game. Remember me telling you that like a month ago? This is just going to be a MXGP 2019 next-gen, and that's it. Don't buy it. It's a money pit.